Yes, I know you had been discussing potential difficult decisions down the line if it weren't passed. At this point, are there any other alternative options we can revisit in the future in terms of finding other revenue sources beyond just, having to cut back on certain parts of the district?
Yeah, well, we're always looking for other ways, such as grants and things like that. But those are some things that we'll always have to keep open. Those options will keep open.
Picking up on that, how long until the district could possibly introduce another proposition similar to the one that didn't pass?
Yeah, my understanding is this we can only do this during a November election. So what we're going to do is just analyze the results of this election and look at our steps moving forward. This need is still there, so it's highly likely that we would need to go out for one in the future. We're just looking at preliminary numbers. There's some good takeaways. We had over 7,100 votes for it. That's the most number of votes we've ever had for any sort of bond in the past. I think in 2017 for that bond, I think there were only a total of about 6,000 plus voters total. And we had over 7,100 vote for this, for Proposition A. So I think the message resonated. Unfortunately, we also had a record number of people voting no for the proposition. So we have to look at that. I think the message resonated with the folks that we did come in contact with, but there was a much larger turnout, and that we know we need to get the message out to the broader community.
With the turnout and what voters decided, what does this tell the district from what your constituents say or believe?
Like I say, I think it was close. It just didn't turn out our way. I think the message did resonate. I think people did see a need with our employees. I think we had the largest number of employee turnout that we had ever seen. So they understood the importance of it, the significance of it, and the impact it would have on the district. But again, it's just going to be about that further outreach to the broader community.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about the impact this would cause the district?
Yeah, I mean, we would, like I say, we would have to take out short-term loans. That's going to be in our future. The rising costs of the health care for our employees. That's going to be a vote we're taking tonight. At some point, we are losing students. We're already projecting that we'll have about 800 students less next year than we have currently. So with less students means less staff, and we're hoping we can get there through natural attrition. But those are some things that we need to look at. Programs. Can we afford to continue some of these programs that we offer our students? So these are just some of the decisions we'll be looking at moving forward.
In the past year, we've seen some layoffs within the district. Could, due to this proposition not passing, could layoffs be something we see in the future as well?
It's tough to say right now. Again, we're budget season is coming up, and we're anticipating an 800 student loss. So, we definitely would rather do that through natural attrition. Last year we offered a separation incentive for those employees who retired or resigned. I'm assuming that we would look at something like that as well. We'd want to take other measures before we take such a drastic step as a reduction in force.
The margins were slim. Yesterday you mentioned how you believe the ballot language might have been, a challenge for some voters. We've also seen some feedback throughout these past few weeks with this on the ballot. Some people still having distrust based on recent history of the district. Perhaps what would be your message now that the election has concluded to those voters that perhaps voted no, not necessarily based on what the language was on the ballot, but still having that sense of distrust?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think we've gone through a lot these past couple of years. It's been well documented, and I think we do need to reach out more and continue the transparency that we've been showing over the past year and a half. Just those, taking those concerted efforts to make sure that the community understands what we're about and involving them. I know just coming up during our budget season, which starts, early next year, we definitely want to include the people from the community to provide input. We do want to show that transparency. We want them to show where their tax dollars and how their tax dollars are being spent. So it's going to, I think, just be efforts like that moving forward. Like I say, 7,100 people did vote for it. That's the highest number we've ever had. So I think that does show that the trust is coming back. But there's still work to be done, and we'll continue to do that.
Has the district also calculated that the state proposition number 13 did pass, and have calculated how much money could they lose of property taxes from around Socorro?
Yeah, we haven't. We don't have those numbers yet as far as the impact of the homestead exemption increases. From my understanding, initially there may not be much of an impact, but possibly further down the road. But I just don't have that information.
Specifically, you mentioned you were potentially going to use these funds for school materials like the laptops, and where does that stand?
Yeah, that's a tough one. We're looking at we need a laptop refresh for our students. It's not just it's not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. That's how all of our state testing is done. That's how a lot of their assignments are done. We haven't received any funding specifically for that from the state. We did purchase a laptop for every single student with the ESSER money, the federal money, 5 years ago, but now those computers are aged out, and they've been beaten and battered over the past several years. So we do need to update those and refresh those, but we're going to have to start looking at things, looking at a priority list. If this is, if we're going to purchase this, then what do we need to give up so that we can purchase this? Start looking at priorities. We passed a balanced budget, which we're proud of, but it just means that we can pay for everything now. We can't take on any additional expenditures. So that's why we have to be extremely careful with what we buy and how we buy. And there's just so much need in the district, not just the laptops, but HVAC upgrades. We did have some hot classrooms this summer, and how we're going to replace those. That was something that was also going to be on the list that had the Proposition A passed. HVAC upgrades and so forth. Now we're just going to have to really look to see how do we upgrade our buildings, but they're getting old and they're aging. The systems are aging out. So we need to look at those things as well.
I wanted to ask about the conservatorship. We're coming up on the 2-year deadline that was assigned for the conservatorship. For this proposition not to pass, could that conservatorship be extended?
So let me just make a quick comment, if I may, and I'll answer your question. One, I think that since we've been here since April 2024, the district has done some phenomenal work. Certainly, we can go ahead and talk about the issues that were here prior to, but I think that's been well documented by y'all. I think since then, the staff, Mr. Vasquez, has done a tremendous job to get us where we are. As he mentioned, once again, balanced budget. After having a $42 million deficit, the district did everything they could within the means that's been provided, right, to adopt the balanced budget that we're operating under at this particular point. We also mainly resolved many of the graduation credit issues that were one of the issues that were plaguing the issue. The board governance issue certainly has been tempered down in many ways, and there is a very collegial environment. The board is continuing to invest in themselves for additional training. In fact, we had 2 days worth of Lone Star governance training coming up on November the 14th and 15th as well. So once again, remarkable speed at which the district has responded, relatively speaking. And I think this is one of the reasons why we're here. And to address your question about the Proposition A, it's a tough situation. Elections are very difficult. Obviously, the district will need to do more to investigate what happened, and there will be an after-action review of this process, because there's obviously a miss that we did not get to. And that's something that the conservators are here to guide and support. However, It is not one of the exit criteria as to whether or not we are here beyond our conservatorship. And I want to be very clear about that. That conservatorship is really based upon the exit criteria and the recommendation we make to the TEA. The Texas Education Agency, who I work for, in essence, will make the final determination about our stay or exit. But once again, all those things at this particular point, we're moving in a very fast direction. This is a hiccup, but this is not one of the exit criteria. It would be hard for any district to put this as a criteria to overcome as an exit of any consortium. What is still a concern, though, is how we go and make sure the finances of the district are at a point where it's balanced, where it is reasonable, is doable, is sustainable. And you asked a question about where are the other sources of revenue. That's going to be something that we have to think through. The Vader election is one mechanism by which school districts all over the state of Texas can raise additional revenue on their own. And so other than that, we're talking about some other means. So there'll be some difficult decisions that will have to be made, as Mr. Vasquez just mentioned here. But in terms of our stay, while we potentially might see ourselves sometime in the near future, but once again, Texas Education Agency, in conjunction with our recommendation, will have the final say in terms of how long we're here.
In terms of the exit criteria, is there anything that you can share, any sort of criteria that is standing out that you don't seem fit to be completed by the time?
Great question. I appreciate that very much. First and foremost, for a while now, every month we give a conservative update to the board. So the board's very aware of the few of the areas. The district has engaged itself, for example, in the customer service engagement. This is not a recognition program, but a way to, once again, to get a deep pulse speed understanding about what's happening with our community members, our parents, staff members, and so forth, even our students. So that mechanism can be rolled out here sooner than later. And I think in some sense that would have probably also helped really understand the pulse speed of the election process and where we are, and hopefully that will be coming to a positive note for the district going forward. But really at this particular point, when you look at the list of the various items that are part of the exit criteria, the district has moved very quickly to resolve many of those issues, and I do commend the staff here and the district and the board for really making this a great partnership and really working with us to make things tough decisions, but getting to where we are today. It's certainly, when you lose an election like that, like last night, it's tough. But certainly the voters have spoken. We had to honor that. This is a taxpayer organization after all, and certainly we have to do a better job of communicating or explaining perhaps some of the misses that we have, and we need to find out what that is. All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.